Hey everyone, Pastor George here with today's Bible study recap. Today in Bible study, we looked at Philippians 2, verses 1 through 18. This is often called the Christ hymn in Philippians 2, or the hymn of humiliation, or the hymn of humility. This is our theme for this week, right? Last Sunday, we looked at the hymn in Colossians. This week, we're looking at the hymn in Philippians. Paul would quote hymns, and we can know this by the type and style of the writing that's there. So just like on Sunday in Colossians, we have a Paul break into this poetic kind of meter, which shows us that this is an early Christian hymn, which is really cool. All right, so what this means for us today is that this is a focus on humility. That's kind of what this is, because Paul is quoting this hymn, which is clearly used to praise Jesus and his two natures, right? That he is both human and divine. That was an early belief and continued belief among Christians to today, right? That he uses the words from it in order to call the Philippians to be more united. This seems to have been something they were struggling with a little bit, although the letter to the Philippians is probably Paul's most praiseworthy letter, outside of maybe First Thessalonians, because he really does love this congregation and thinks it's doing great things. But he doesn't want them to fall into division, which is always a thing that can happen, right? That people fall into division and end up turning people away and all other sorts of things, right? So this is an important moment for unity in the church. And so he uses the importance of humility versus pride, and he sees there's no better way to do this than in the story of Jesus himself. After all, who was Jesus, right? Jesus is God, and he's God who became infleshed, right? Incarnated. And so he uses the stanzas of this poem, and you can kind of see it broken into two sections, right? The first three, verses 6, 7, and 8, are all about humiliation. And humiliation here doesn't mean to make someone feel bad, right? It means to be humbled. So when people talk about Christ's humiliation, they'll talk about his taking on flesh, right? Moving it from being divine purely to divine and human, and that taking on the flesh makes him human, right? And it humiliates him, it humbles him from where he was before. So you have the verses 6 through 8 about humiliation, and then you have 9 through 11, which are exaltation, right? So he's once again, after being resurrected, right, taking on the full nature of the Godhead, in conjunction with his nature, his human nature. And so he has both of these things going on at the same time, right? That's a very, non-theological way of putting it, right? But that's basically what I'm trying to get across here is it's showing both sides. It's showing his divinity and it's showing his humanity. All right, so in the face of that, right, what are we supposed to do? Well, we're supposed to empty ourselves, right? Taking the form of a slave, being born in the likeness of men and being found in human form, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross. That's the type of humiliation or humility that we as Christians should have, right? Being willing to serve up to the point of dying. And that is what Paul is trying to get across to the Philippians, right? Have the same mind that Jesus did. He was humiliated, and you should be humiliated too. You should be humble as well. Do not put yourselves at the center. And he said, therefore, right, because he did that, God exalted him and bestowed on him the name that is above every name, so that at the name of Jesus every knee should bow in heaven, on earth, and under the earth, and every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father, right? That's the hymn, bro, just what I read right there. And here, right, you can see that this is Jesus gets the name that is above every name, so he's called Yahweh, right? And he also is worshipped only as Yahweh is supposed to be worshipped in the Old Testament. So this is again a claim on Jesus's divinity. And so he says, right, because of this is how you're supposed to carry yourselves. Do everything without grumbling, serve and love one another. And so the Christ hymn serves as an important kind of central piece, which tells us because Jesus acted this way, we're supposed to do it. A WWJD moment, right? What would Jesus do? You look at the Christ hymn, and that is supposed to be the spirit of the people in the church. So that's what we talked about today. There won't be a new thing tomorrow because of Thanksgiving. Sorry I've missed the last few weeks. This new schedule, being at a new house, I keep leaving my computer behind and can't go back to get it. So sorry about that. But no new thing next week. Have a wonderful and happy Thanksgiving, and I will see you all on Sunday. Peace out.